comme vidéo?
J'essaie de rappeler tout ce que vous avez fait. Именно presentation arigatou gozaimasu. Information presentation arigatou gozaimasu. Именно SfaxのSfax sheetのpresentationをします。Sfax sheet はチュニジアの中の北から南までのちょうど真ん中です。人口は120万人です。と、大きいスパックス、大きいスパックスの大スパックスの一部です。と、今のスパックス市の人口は30万人です。今からビデオプレゼンテーションを見せます。
شنو رسم؟ سمح لي شغلت واش قبل ايش بيه
حل موتور اخر كليكي بحاجه اخرى سورس فيتور باتسينيل
شنو
حل l'image. 2 clics. اي بلان écran 2 clics على l'écran.
Sphinx was by far the most important city in this area, as its vestiges testify. Founded in the 9th century by an Algarve prince, Sphinx is the most active commercial city in Tunisia. It experienced its golden age in the 9th and 10th centuries, as it became a hub of trade between Africa and the Middle East. This prosperity of Sphinx is due mainly to olive orchards planted in the 10th century and to the cultivation of fig trees and vines, as well as to a high-volume fishing industry. The coast of Sphinx, which is protected by a natural barrier, the islands of Pergamon, contributed to the development of foreign trade, mainly with Leptis Magna, Athens, and Alexandria. During the Ottoman period, Sphinx possessed an important maritime fleet under the leadership of a local figure, Sheikh Ali Mori. Its principal exports at that time include products, oils, highly regarded woolen articles, fine leather goods, as well as products from Sharif and Tripoli. In return, it imported various products of the East, such as tea, coffee, and silk. Enriched by this trade, Sphinx put a premium on the cultivation of land. Its jenins, or orchards, being spread out over a distance of 4 to 6 kilometers from the city center, were already in place in the 18th century. Fruit trees were the main crops, mostly almond, fig, and pistachio. At the beginning of the 19th century, an increasingly diversified European colony settled in Sphinx, bringing with it its expertise. Under the French protectorate, towards the end of the 19th century, the people of Sphinx began to develop its extensive suburbs. The plantations of olive trees developed rapidly, and the city became the principal port for the shipment of oils, phosphates, esparto, salt, and sponges. In 1956, when the country regained its sovereignty, Sphinx continued on the path for its progress. The people of Sphinx, with their spirit of entrepreneurship, widened the area devoted to agriculture, and when harvest was bad, they found refuge in trade and in the craft industry, then, more recently, in the industry and services sectors. Thus, throughout its history, Sphinx knew how to forge an identity, relying on know-how, and by unceasingly searching for a better position on the national, Mediterranean, and international levels. Urbanization. The architecture of Sphinx combines traditional styles with contrasting avant-garde urban structures. Its Medina is one of the most beautiful of the Maghreb, with its 4 gates and its 11th century mosque. It is completely surrounded by ramparts which date back to the 11th century, but have undergone extensive modifications over time. Following the example of other historical cities of the country, Sphinx is today one of the most beautiful cities of modern Tunisia, with a distinguished Arab Muslim style marked by a still visible European touch. Being the first population center of Tunisia after the capital, the Greater Sphinx area accounts 500,000 inhabitants and includes the communes of Sphinx, Sakiet-Tezit, Sakiet-Beir, Grenda, El Ain, Shehia, and Tina. The urbanization of Sphinx was achieved through time by spreading out towards the jenins. During the last 30 years, this spreading out has tripled the urban area of Greater Sphinx, which has grown to approximately 20,000 hectares. Has transformed the city center and its outskirts, along with the establishment of the expanding area's infrastructure. Traffic was named to the city center because of the relative concentration of its economic, administrative, and training activities, which contribute to the heavy traffic. The majority of people of Sfax own their own residences and are almost all connected to the drinkable water supply and electricity networks, and to a lesser proportion to the sewage network. The access to the school system is universal and medical coverage is widely available. In spite of this progress, performance and cultural spaces, as well as sporting and leisure facilities, remain below citizen expectations. In particular, among the youngest, who represent 1/3 of the population. Indeed, despite its location on the coast, the city is not considered as a resort city because of the presence of polluted production industries along the seashore. Since the 80s, an awareness of the need to safeguard the urban environment in Sfax was fostered by planning studies associated with the Taparura project, concentrating on the northern coast of the city. The aim of the study was a sustainable reconciliation of the city with its seashore. Socioeconomic development. The economic activity of the Greater Sfax area is dynamic and diversified, thanks to a whole range of activities which have come to reinforce the gains over time. It occupies an outstanding position at the national and international levels. Agriculture and fishing play an important role in the economy of Sfax, where the olive industry remains the base. The forest of olive trees, with its 6 million trees, remains an important pillar of the economy of Sfax, since it produces more than 1/3 of the national production and 2/3 of exports. The ever-growing development of organic agriculture is very promising. The culture of almonds, although threatened by the climatic dryness and other risks, is insured by 6 million trees and provides an average 14,000 tons of almonds annually. During the last decades, poultry farming and cattle breeding have increasingly developed along Sfax to rank first at national level. Agricultural activities were born, market gardening in irrigated areas, and arboriculture with 2 million fruit trees. The fishing industry continues to grow. Indeed, it benefits from favorable conditions, such as its high profits, the abundant resources of its coastal waters, containing non-migrant and migrating fish populations. The abundance of the local variety ensures that fishing is an all-year-round occupation. Greater Sfax enjoys a 50-kilometer-long coastline. Its warm waters and high salinity constitute a natural quality habitat for marine animal life, rich in fish, and makes fishing another important pillar of the economy of Sfax. The Chateau Crackmount, which has become quite narrow, was replaced in 1978 by a modern port considered among the best on the southern coast of the Mediterranean. The production of the ports of Sfax and Seaports constitute the 3/4 of national exports of sea products. However, this richness is threatened by overfishing. The craft industry of Sfax is particularly dynamic. Specialized suits, organized in corporations of trades, shelter, among others, the workshops of shoemakers, blacksmiths, seat makers, weavers, and jewelers. Some 25,000 craftsmen practice their traditional skills in 75 specialties while trying to be in tune with modern trends. The liberal economy of the early 70s has made it possible for Greater Sfax to establish its industrial tradition. In addition to the phosphate industry, nearly 5,000 companies, including 600 small and medium-sized firms, operate mainly in the textile, leather, and shoe sectors, agribusiness, building materials, and ceramics, and various other industries. In addition to their impact on employment, these companies contribute to the growth of national exports. The manufacturing companies, which have benefited from strong protectionism, have suffered the effects of the opening of markets and international competition. Moreover, foreign direct investments, although having doubled during the last decade, remain well below expectations and are strongly concentrated in the energy sector. Thus, the manufacturing activities are running out of steam and industry is losing ground. The service sector has tried to overtake industry and to evolve while benefiting from comparative advantages which are offered in particular by human resources in Sfax. The growth of banking services, mainly due to an increase in local savings accounts, guarantees nearly 12% of national transactions. Sfax has developed during these last years thanks to its strong commercial tradition. Its port and airport have strong and diversified relations with the countries of the Mediterranean basin. The commercial part has links with 40 countries and 5 continents. It is equipped with specialized ways for the export of phosphates and the importation of cereals and sulfur. It ensures 25% of the tonnage of national maritime exchanges. Traditionally specialized in loading and bulk, the port has currently registered a spectacular increase in container transport. Located in the vicinity of a densely populated area, the airport has to increase its activities in an effort to better serve the economy of the area. The whole of the economic activity is backed by a professional training system, resolutely geared towards new technologies. Various vocational training centers are set up for the benefit of young people to help them acquire expertise and increase their employability. The University of Sfax is the largest university in Tunisia, accommodating 45,000 students, of whom 56% are young women. It comprises 20 institutions and 100 laboratories and research facilities. In addition, there are other autonomous centers of international reputation, 2 of which we can mention are the Center of Biotechnology and the Institute of the Olive Tree. The Faculty of Medicine, which is the jewel of this university, has considerably contributed to the emergence of quality care services and attracts an increasing number of foreign patients. An important private infrastructure has contributed to this evolution. However, the public health sector remains to be reinforced on the level of intermediate structures despite innovation and space changes that the city has experienced, as well as the stakes that globalization have encouraged the local communities of Greater Sfax to create a strategy of development by year 2016, comprised of 2 successive development plans from 2007 to 2011 and from 2012 to 2016. This strategy tallies with the national aim of working together and the promotion of local democracy. It contributes to make the area an active center of development. The 7 communes have embarked on a proactive approach in collaboration with the private sector, the civil society, the university, and the concerned regional and national administrations. Over 5,000 people, among whom are elected officials, elites, and participants of all horizons, supported by Tunisian and foreign experts, and equipped with the most advanced tools for perspective analysis, have put in a great deal of time and effort for over 30 years. They have developed a common vision for Greater Sfax in 2016, defined the objectives of the strategy, and worked out an action plan for the next 10 years.